and welcome back to another episode of trying to find some amazing Indian food in London. And today's restaurant is slightly different one. The heart of it is actually Indian, but this is a no borders kitchen, and the food is inspired by immigrant cuisine, the shared flavors, and a bit of Asia and Middle East and Africa. And this is called Jikoni. This is one place I have been to before. I always tell you guys whether I've been to a restaurant or not. Not just the food. Food is incredible, but not just the food. The people behind this restaurant are also very special and very warm and welcoming, and you'll find out very soon. But before I get into the details and speak to the people behind this, eat the food, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button. Let's do this. Indian restaurants don't have to be all about the curry and the naan and the parathas. And though all those things are quite key to Indian food, it doesn't mean that is what all Indian restaurants need to be about. This place is so unique with its flavor combinations, and like I said in the beginning, this is a migrant kitchen. This is an open kitchen, and it just brings people and flavors and techniques from different cultures into this space, making it so warm and welcoming.
My name is Ravinda Bogle, and I am the chef patron of Jikoni in Marylebone.
Thank you so much for having me. I have been here before and I love your food, but I would love the audience to know a little bit about Jikoni and yourself, because you are Indian via Kenya.
Yes, I know, right? I was born in Kenya, and my grandparents left, well, my grandfather left Kenya in the 1940s. So there were a lot of people who were looking for better opportunities, and he made this very brave voyage in the dark, got on a dhow and sailed. In fact, the story goes that he sailed for 26 days and then ended up back in Bombay because something had gone wrong. And his brother was like, I will never do that journey again. They went together. So his brother stayed back in India, and a month later my grandfather put together some money, got back on this boat.
For the second time?
For the second time, on his own, landed up in Kenya in the 1940s when it was kind of wild terrain, helping to build railways, construction, all of that. Worked so incredibly hard, but also found time to fall so deeply in love with this incredible blossoming soil that is so benevolent and generous, and everything that comes out of it is so delicious. And I think he'd come from so little, he was so poor, that he felt like this was God's grace somehow. He was very spiritual as a Sikh, really kind of had this spiritual relationship with the land, and he thought, this is providence, this is like God is giving me so much and I have to bring my family over. So after 7 years of really hard work, he sent for my grandmother, a woman who'd never even left her village, let alone, a new country. And my father was a baby then, so my father was 7, and then they came to, and they settled, they learned how to speak Swahili. My grandfather was one of those incredible people who believed in this ideal of equality. So in a time where everyone was, it was still then a British colony, there were lots of racial divides, he crossed all those lines, and he integrated and made friends with everyone from so many different communities. And his whole philosophy was that, he believed in this idea of seva, which is a Sikh tenet about community service, about giving. So he used to say to me when I was a little girl that the easiest way to be helpful is just to feed someone. And I think that really stuck with me. And I think it's probably why I run a restaurant now.
Wow, so you opened Jikoni 10 years ago
Yes,
this year.
September 2016. So we're going to be 10 this year. Yeah.
What does Jikoni mean?
So jikoni is a Swahili word. It means kitchen. Because before I opened the restaurant, I remember saying to my husband, all I want is a kitchen with a few chairs and tables. That's it. That's all I want. So this is our jikoni.
Amazing.
I feel really proud of my heritage. So when I came to this country, I grew up in a very densely immigrant area. So there was, the Chinese supermarket, the Turkish shop, the Polish neighbors who took us in. And I think you grow up in that, you are a sum of all of that, and yet when people look at you, they're like, okay, you're the Indian girl, you can fit in that box. And I think in a way, Jikoni was my subconscious answer to that. It was saying, this is a place for people who come from many places, and I want to reflect that in our menu. So the menu, we call it immigrant food, because it is a combination, it's a reconciliation. It comes from being an immigrant, arriving somewhere, feeling really bereft and lost, and wanting to preserve what's yours, because whether it's your language or your customs, your clothing, but especially your food, you preserve it. But then as you begin to find home in your new nation, it sort of reveals itself to you. And for me, that was all of those communities that I was living with, those mini economies, and you begin to weave them into what is yours. And in doing that, you're creating a completely new cuisine, which is what immigrant food is. And so what we cook here is the food of immigrants, I suppose.
So, in a sense, you, in your heart of heart, knew you always wanted a restaurant.
I never knew I wanted a restaurant. Never in a million years. I knew, I think inside me, because being sort of uprooted from the place where I felt most at home, in this like very beautiful, big skied, and it's the same in India, right? Colossal trees, big skies, that weather, the produce, right? You go to the market, the tomatoes just need a bit of salt and they're delicious. And I think that I wanted to, when I came to this country, I felt most comfortable in the kitchen, because the kitchen was a portal to home. It was a reminder of home. And so I cooked a lot, and also my mother was a very typical Punjabi, 4 daughters, you have to marry well, you have to learn to cook. It was how she was, very traditional. And so I sort of grew up in the kitchen, and I went off and I studied English. I did an English degree. I worked initially in PR and then as a journalist, and I never really, I think I had a subconscious longing to cook. I didn't know it was possible for me to cook professionally. It happened in a very sort of serendipitous way. I was working on a fashion magazine as a fashion stylist, and a friend of mine who was a stylist called me up and she said, I've just seen an advert for a cookery competition. Gordon Ramsay is looking for the new Fanny Craddock, and I just had this instinct that if you enter, you'll win and it's going to change your life. And so I entered, and 9,000 women entered, and I won the competition. And even when I won, it felt amazing. I didn't think anything of it. I went back to my journalism job and I said to my editor, well, the thing I took that day off for, I sort of won. And she was like, my God, we're going to lose you. And I just didn't understand what she was talking about. I didn't see the big deal. And anyway, the day the show aired, I started getting calls from agents saying, you could have a career doing this, come in and see us. Went and saw 8 agents as a journalist, massively skeptical, not really thinking, I said to her, look, I'm a writer, I'm interested in writing, and I've been recording my recipes, and I've got this manuscript. Never in a million years would I have thought, I would get it published. And she marched me into Felicity Blunt, who's my current agent's office, and she was then a junior agent. I was her first book. And we just bonded immediately, and she, analyzed my manuscript, and within about 3 months, I'd completed the manuscript. I had a book deal. I started doing television, And at the time, my father was very ill. He had cancer. He and I had a very strange and difficult relationship where he didn't understand what the hell I was doing with my life. He didn't understand my job. He was not a girl dad in many ways. He was very much about boys and the sun and all of that. And so for me, he never really paid attention to what I was doing. And then when I won this competition and he was ill, suddenly he started really showing interest in what I was doing. And he would say to me, in that very immigrant way, bricks and mortar made sense to him. So he'd say, well, you can cook, you've got a cookery book out, why don't you just open a cafe? I'll lend you the money to open a cafe. And I was like, no, absolutely not. I have no interest in doing that. And then I was approached by Anna Hansen. I was doing this is how it happened. I was doing a show for Channel 4. My co-host was Jay Rayner. He's like a mouth on legs. He would eat everything I was cooking and say, this is really idiosyncratic cooking. I've never tasted these flavors together. It's very smart. You should really learn about the trade of restaurants, get into kitchens. Because I never had a mentor, I took him very seriously. So I went and started working in kitchens and, starting very much from the bottom, trying to understand it all, make sense of it. Yeah. I found it incredibly tough. But I was lucky because pop-ups were like the new thing then. Yeah. And lovely Anna Hansen, who ran the Modern Pantry, contacted me and said, why don't you do a night takeover of this thing that I'm doing? And so I did, and I ended up cooking for 95 people. We were oversubscribed. There was a waiting list. I couldn't believe it. And I was like, I can't wait to tell Dad about it and how it went. And I cleaned down the kitchen. I remember I got home at about 3 o'clock in the morning. And at about 5 in the morning, my phone rang, and it was my mum saying, your dad's been taken to hospital. And he was in hospital for 8 weeks, and I never got to tell him, and then he died. Oh, no. And strangely, I felt like after he died, I felt like I was almost on a conveyor belt. Yeah. And there were all these opportunities coming to me, like Mark Hicks contacted me and said, come and do a supper club with me. And I felt it was his dream for me. He had said it to me. And I found myself sort of just going along with this thing and not knowing how it was happening, but it was just unfolding. And then for 6 years I was sort of cooking in restaurants, doing pop-ups, supper clubs, residencies, doing my own private catering business, which I wasn't making any money. But a lot of my clients were chefs. So I had like Brett Graham from the Ledbury booking me to do his 35th birthday party, which was kind of wild. Yeah. And after 6 years, I remember doing this 6 weeks at South Place Hotel, and Faye Masher had been coming to a few of my things. And at the end of that night, she took me aside and just said, when are you going to stop being such a coward and commit to a space of your own? And I think it took another woman to say that to me, to make me think, you know what, actually. And so I thought, why not? And then I knew that I wanted to open in Marylebone. I love this neighborhood. I wanted a restaurant that felt like I was part of a community. I wanted the same people to come in, get to know their names, the names of their dogs, where they like to sit. That's what I wanted. And then April of 2016, I got the keys. The builders came in. This was just a white box. There was nothing here. The stairs were at the front. Nadeem and I practically were here with pieces of chalk, measuring everything out, decorating. We didn't have an interior designer, and we did it, and we opened September 2016. Got married February 2017. Wow. Mad, and here we are.
Wow, what a journey!
Yeah.
What a story! I'm going to switch to the food. What is your favorite thing on the menu right now?
So many different things. I think the two things I really love to eat are the chantre melon, which is really sweet, coming from our supplier Smith & Brock, and we do it with a cured sea bream. and a jalapeno and lime dressing. And the pieces of the sea bream are sort of, we just do it like a half, almost like melon and ham. It's my play on melon and ham. But the fish gets cured and sort of draped over the lovely chunks of melon with this really sort of zesty, zingy dressing. And then I love pomelo and grapefruit salad with purple sprouting broccoli. And then the other thing that I really love is our duck rendang, which is sort of slowly cooked. We cook it for like 4 or 5 hours until it's literally falling off. The sauce is sort of nice and kind of hugging the duck. That comes with garlic rice and roti jala, which is that lovely lace roti, which I love.
Oh my God, I'm getting so hungry.
What else? I mean, I love crab. I'm now allergic to it. I can't eat it, but the crab croquettes are really, really good with a curry mayonnaise. Ponto Scotch egg is, I think,
So everything.
everything. But I think the Ponto Scotch egg is the signature. It's never come off the menu.
Wow.
And we think that it is emblematic of what we are about. So what we are saying with the Ponto Scotch egg is it's our sort of soft activism. It's our political statement as a restaurant. We're saying you take two incredible perennial favorites, a Chinese prawn toast, a British Scotch egg, and you bring them together and you create something that is better than the sum of their parts. And we say that about people. You know, the more kinds of people you have, the more resilient you are as a community.
But seriously, what an amazing story. And you have got new openings coming up this year, which is going to be so exciting. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for letting me loose in your restaurant.
Thank you for coming. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
This is their signature bergamot margarita. If there is a margarita, I'm having one. So I have started with a Kenya chai. It's got lots of spices which they have stewed together. Not very strong tea, but it's very different. And for the first time, I had it. Sorry, I finished it, and I didn't get any sugar in it or milk because it just tasted so good. I usually take sugar and milk in my chai, but this was just so aromatic and beautiful. I loved it just on its own. Yeah, never had Kenyan chai. And here is the margarita, because what should follow chai? Margarita. Oh my God, that is good. That is so good. I'm sitting right by the entrance of the restaurant, so everyone coming in is going to be watching me talk to my phone. But cheers to that. I'm so excited about the food. It's time to take you guys into the kitchen. Right, we're heading to the kitchen where the magic happens, as always. Ooh, there they are. Oh my God. Hiya. I love the kitchen. This is open. They've got a little prep area at the back. Fantastic. Look at the organization here. Incredible. Ooh, and it's in alphabetical order. Brilliant. that duck? So the food has arrived. This is the duck, prawn, toast, scotch eggs, greens, kale charts, melon, fish. That's the chicken curry, and that's the croquettes. Right guys, it is time to eat. The food is all here. Like I said, everything looks amazing. The kitchen, I love the kitchen. It's such a nice, lovely, warm, welcoming kitchen, just like Ravneet herself. Right, I'm going to start with kale chaat. So I've been to Jikoni twice before, and both the times I've been visiting for either work or with friends, and we've all loved the food. So I'm not going to be like a shock surprise, but yes, I had tried the chaat last time I was here, and I loved it then. I love it now. That's the fish with the melon. Oh, it's beautiful. Such a unique combination, so unusual in such a good way. I probably have never cooked duck. I've eaten duck before, I've never cooked it myself. And Ravinder has recommended this, so I'm very excited. Wow. It's like a mild, creamy curry sauce with it. The duck is beautifully cooked, and there's the pineapple salad. It actually cuts through the richness of the duck. Very excited about the prawn toast. A dish that's been on the menu since day one. Sorry. Prawn toast scotch egg. I am not doing it justice by saying it the wrong name. I love prawns. And you can't get variations in scotch eggs unless it's red meat, which is no good. That sauce on there is heavenly. And now, the croquettes. The menu is so exciting, so unusual, and you know, the whole combination of that curry meal is exceptional. And now, the chicken curry. If you know me, you'll know I would be very excited for this. It's topped with just fine fries. None of the food is spicy or hot, but it's packed with flavor, and you know a lot of spices have gone in, but it's not spicy. That is really good food. The jal roti, which I'm supposed to have it with duck. I have come on my own, as most places. I don't mind. I've gotten used to it. Because I film it myself, it just makes sense. Otherwise my friends end up waiting, and this way I get to talk to the chef or the owner for longer. Oh, hello, yes. The food has been amazing. Margarita was spot on, and I've been told to keep some room for the dessert. I'm going to eat a little bit of this and then get some desserts on the table. Okay, so this is a pavlova with rhubarb, which is in season right now, and I am very excited to try this. I'll be honest with you, I have ordered more than one dessert. Yes, I know I'm on my own, but what I have done for a change is usually I just try all the desserts, but today I'm going to focus on the rhubarb pavlova because I love everything, all desserts, but yeah, love a good pavlova. Love rhubarb. And what I have done is I've got the other two desserts parcel because then I can eat it at home after dinner. So guys, I am going in. Oh my god, the ice cream is set inside. Wonderful. I will report back on the 2 desserts that I have parcel. I'll go home and record that as well for you guys. And it's just started to chuck it down, and I've realized that I haven't got an umbrella to get me to the station. Literally chucking it down. Anyways, focus Chetna, focus. Oh, wow, amazing. The crunch of rhubarb, the cold, sharp ice cream. It's so good. It is incredible. Guys, you know what I'm going to say next? I will show you the desserts at home, but before I do that, let me sign out of the restaurant. Hope you enjoyed Ravinder's chat. I really enjoyed talking to her and gave me an in-depth kind of view of how this came about, you know, how things happen in life. It's so amazing. Things always work out and you get where you should have been. So hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, and I'll be back in my kitchen with a new recipe very soon. Oh, I will leave all the details to the restaurant and to Ravinder's Instagram in the description, so please do check it out. Bye for now. Right guys, I have literally just walked in home and put my mic on because I just wanted to open the 2 puddings that I got. I had to run for the train, and yeah, I thought I'll just take the 2 of them. Let's quickly do that. So this is the banana cake, which has not left their menu since they started. Oh my god, now it's heaven. And this is a vegan Basque cheesecake with lychee, and I think she said raspberry. Oh, and ginger. I do love my food, but I'm one person who cannot do without desserts, so I have to have desserts. All the 3 desserts were amazing. Such different combinations and my style of baking, mixing flavors and fruits and textures. So delicious. Really, really good. It is totally worth a trip to London just to visit the restaurant. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I am going to now make myself a cup of tea, sit down and enjoy the leftovers that I brought with me. Bye for now.